Dude, Ashley, why are we talking about penises in a restaurant? Yeah, awkwardness level stonks. What's up guys, I'm Gavin Liuranium and welcome to my video. Thank you guys for 2020 and I managed to stay afloat well above 2k subs into 2021. As such, I'm delaying no further and releasing my 2k sub special, which is this video. Let's go! You guys have read the title of this video. I'm going to publicly come out. I'll explain further in detail later in the video. Now let me reveal to you all. I discovered that wait, I don't have drums. It's alright, you can just imagine I'm drum rolling. So, I'm demisexual. Yeah, I am, and hey, the demisexual flag looks super cool. It's like the flag of Czechia painted in monochrome then with a cool thin purple line drawn in the middle. Yep, the asexual colors rearranged. What does demisexual mean? I'm glad you asked. According to the LGBTA wiki, demisexuality is a sexuality on the asexual spectrum. Demi is a prefix of Greek language origin, meaning half or partial. Like in some mythologies, there exist demigods. And then there's this musical note, the 32nd note, which is alternatively called the demi-semi-quaver, literally half of an eighth note. Now, asexuality refers to the lack of sexual attraction towards people. The asexuality spectrum spans from asexual to allosexual, which is perceived as the default. Normal amounts of sexual attraction. Demisexual is somewhere halfway. A demisexual person may experience sexual attraction only after forming a close emotional bond with the person. So how did I discover I'm demisexual? Actually, it's a relatively recent discovery. I'm 17 years old already, turning 18 this year. I think it was a few years back when I started having signs that hinted to me belonged on the asexual spectrum. Like, not experiencing as much sexual attraction as normal or default. So we learned about the reproductive system of the male and female bodies. Some people around me immediately started spamming dirty jokes like both offline and online spam. Initially I was like, haha, funny. But shortly after that I found myself disinterested in such jokes and even actively trying to avoid discussing such things. I dismissed it. It was probably just myself. I had no knowledge of the LGBTQ+ community or anything about asexuality, except that we were taught some organisms undergo asexual reproduction. That's completely not related. I also remember 2 years ago I was hanging out and having lunch with a few friends in a restaurant. I don't actually hang out with friends often though. I can't recall all the events that happened that day, but I remember two of the dudes suddenly started talking about reproductive organs and I found myself disinterested and really awkward. I'd be like, dude, Ashley, why are we talking about penises in a restaurant? Yeah, awkwardness level stonks. Also 2 years ago, another friend of mine started shipping me with girls whom he saw me frequently spending time with or often mentioning. When in fact, bruh, I don't even have feelings for them. I even got shipped with girls who already had a boyfriend. It was crazy. I thought he was being strange and stuff. I'm not even close with those girls. I don't think I'm actually close enough for them to consider me even a friend, lol. Not even friend, how to get a girlfriend. I don't know now, it's super awkward. I felt he was being weird. Fortunately for me, all the ships sank within a year and I don't have to risk getting shipped when I talk to him about girls. And then just late last year, I learned about the asexual spectrum and oh wait, something about asexuality resonated with me. I don't experience sexual attraction to people. Could I be an asexual? I started wondering the question. I thought, well, maybe I didn't have enough experience with girls, so and maybe I'm not actively looking for relationships, so maybe I wasn't an absolute asexual. I gave myself a possibility. It's sort of like threshold for experiencing sexual attraction. I could be a gray asexual. Gray ace means generally low levels of sexual attraction, but occasionally rarely experiencing it. It's a sub-umbrella under the asexual umbrella. That's how I'm seeing it. I allow myself some tolerance, some space, so I don't identify with being absolutely asexual, almost never experiencing sexual attraction. I could possibly experience it. So as I dived deeper, I found a term that resonates perfectly with me. Demisexual. Possible to experience sexual attraction only after forming a close and deep emotional bond with the other person. It made the most sense to me. Like, I don't think it makes sense to have sexual attractions immediately when you develop a crush on the other person. You could want to spend more time with them, to get closer to them, maybe even wish to start a relationship with them. That'd be having platonic or romantic attraction towards them. But having sexual attraction at first sight doesn't seem to make sense to me. Maybe it will make sense to most other people since allosexual is perceived as the default, and they probably wouldn't understand me when I believe attraction should be based on platonic and romantic first, maybe aesthetic or physical, before sexual. In the same way, I don't understand them. So hey, maybe if we don't understand each other, we could agree to disagree and at least respect each other. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. Now, here to clear some misconceptions about people on the asexual spectrum. Some people may think asexuality is the same as abstinence, when it's in fact not. An allosexual person can choose abstinence before marriage or for moral or religious reasons. They may still have sexual attraction, but being abstinent is exercising self-control and is a choice. Asexuality is not a choice and is a feeling, or more accurately, lack of feeling. Aces can still carry out the act, intercourse. Whoever said you can't do the act if you have no sexual feelings? They may choose to carry out the act maybe as a family responsibility. For example, myself, I'm the only paternal grandson of my family, and I bear the responsibility of passing down my family name to my future children and grandchildren. So I eventually have to do the act with my future partner. I feel it's only right to do so with the one whom you truly love and be loyal to them. So that just made me want to address another stereotype. Do aces date? Yes, of course they may. What kind of stupid question is that? Aces can date. As I said earlier, they may experience platonic or romantic attraction without sexual attraction in a relationship. Aromantic and aplatonic are topics for another day. Well, why do aces, grey aces, and us demis come out then? Are we simply attention seekers who have nothing better to do
than to look down on others because it's the only way they deal with their daddy issues?
No, definitely not. We just view the relationship between love and sex in a different way from default, but in a similar way as one another. That's why we come out. We find something common to relate to. We stand united against the misconceptions, stereotypes, and discrimination that we together face, and probably deal with our daddy issues together. There are a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions about asexualities, but for this video, this will be the last one I'm addressing. Do people like me come out as asexuality along the asexual spectrum simply because we don't want to identify as simply allies but want to infiltrate the LGBTQ+ community? For example, me, who is cisgender male, identifies with he, him pronouns and is straight in the gender orientation. Are people like me imposters among the true LGBTQ+ crewmates? Please, don't think of us that way. We are part of the LGBTQ+ community because we truly, genuinely feel that way when we view love, relationships, and sex. So what if we are straight? There are some of us who stay as allies while we discover properties about ourselves that makes us part of LGBTQ+. So please don't view us as imposters. We are all crewmates and don't eject us. I mean, figuratively, but seriously. Now, sexualities on the asexual spectrum aren't really separate sexualities. They're more like add-ons to describe your sexuality, how often you experience it. As in before, I'm cisgender male, identified with he, him pronouns, I'm straight, so hetero-romantic. Basically, your default boy, who comfortably identifies with his birth gender and default assigned pronouns, and is generally attracted to girls. Just with added demisexual properties, meaning I have to be friends with and be in a relationship with a girl whom I truly love before I develop sexual attractions for her, because that is what I personally believe makes sense and is right. Others may identify as, for example, a grey ace transgender female who's bisexual or another asexual non-binary, etc. There are so many possibilities. We don't simply get rid of our original sexualities and genders when we identify with something on the asexual spectrum. So, yeah, I'm a demisexual, cisgender, heteroromantic, straight male dude. Put in fewer words, demisexual default boy. Now that I've come out as demisexual, what's different? Does that change anything? Not much actually. I'm still your Gavin Liuranium who loves music, loves learning about other cultures and languages, loves food, likes friends' company, is a fellow The Music Freaks fan, Jaylee and Lander shipper, peanut butter and jam lover, food lover. Yeah, I've mentioned that before. My favorite season is still winter and my favorite sport is still skiing. And most importantly, still proud to be from China, etc. The only thing that's changed is that you now know I view love and sex differently from the default way, you know. Gavin Liuranium is still Gavin Liuranium. Please don't treat me differently or like an outcast whom everyone hates. Being not default doesn't mean not normal. There are certain difficulties I have faced and will face when I come out. For example, this video. I've explained a lot, but I don't seem to be very organized or orderly, especially when introducing advanced terms and trying to explain them as well as how I interpret them. Actually, before 2020 ended, I came out to my family. My sister was like, okay, when I told her I was demisexual. As for my mom and dad, I'm afraid they won't understand my advanced terms when it comes to LGBTQ+, because they aren't actively involved in the LGBTQ+ community, or have much knowledge about them, or at least not in front of me. Who knows? Imagine trying to tell them demisexual, 半无性恋, then gray is 灰无性恋, etc. and they'd be like, what the hell are all these stuff? So for simplicity's sake, I came out to them as simply 无性恋, asexual. My mom was like not understanding what I'm talking about and misinterpreted it as I'm in a relationship. Yeah. But I'm actually not though. Guess I'm just really bad at translating. I'll never be a translator. Then my dad be like, you're still young, focus on your studies and your hobbies first, and don't think so much about sexual orientation. But after I told them, things were just like they had been. Nothing is different. I'm still me, the son whom my parents both love with all their heart. They just think that my sexual orientation is not important as compared to pursuing my hobbies and chasing my dreams. And I completely agree with them. Nothing changed. In conclusion, my views may differ from other people on the asexual spectrum and also may differ from other demisexuals. But our general view is collinear. We pretty much agree when it comes to the relationship between sex and love. Of course, Gavin Liuranium doesn't represent all demisexuals, and not all demisexuals are Gavin Liuranium, obviously. But we shouldn't let our differences divide us. Instead, we let our consensus unite us. That's the most important thing. We are united and together in the LGBTQ+ community. Lastly, I will be changing my profile picture specially to commemorate myself's coming out. I have designed a few profile pictures and I made a poll on my Discord server for you to vote which picture I'm going to wear on my YouTube, Discord, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Duolingo for the next 2 months. Join my Discord server in the description below. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow all my social media accounts also in the description below. That's about all for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay tuned.